Hi, and welcome back to Tatparya Books. We are coming back after a break, and I wanted to restart this series talking about a book that I go back to again and again in my life. Book, of course, is A Moveable Feast by Ernest Hemingway. If you know anything about Hemingway, you would know that this is a book that he wrote as an older man looking back at his life in 1920s Paris. The book was published posthumously by his wife, Mary Hemingway, and she got the title after she read these following words in a letter that he'd written to a friend. He said, "If you're lucky enough to have lived in Paris as a young man, then wherever you go for the rest of your life, it stays with you. For Paris is a movable feast." So the book was Hemingway's love letter to Paris. But wait, there's more. Let's talk about Ernest Hemingway first. Hemingway was one of the great writers of 20th century, along with people like John Steinbeck, William Faulkner, and Scott Fitzgerald. He certainly was one of the great American writers of early 20th century. He lived, along with these folks, he lived through 2 world wars and a Great Depression and wrote about these tumultuous times. But it was Hemingway who dived head first into these events. He was a soldier in the First World War, and he volunteered for the Spanish Civil War, and he covered the Second World War as a reporter with his extremely talented wife, Martha Gellhorn. A hard-drinking papa bear of a writer, Hemingway's subjects are usually about war, boxing, hunting, and bullfighting. The book Moveable Feast is a memoir by the older, more matured Hemingway, who's looking back at this younger Hemingway's life in Paris. In fact, Paris is such a great part of the book that for many scenes, all he does is walk through the streets of Paris. And if you haven't visited the city, and I haven't, some of these references might just be lost on you. But don't let that put you off. The book is deeply moving even if you haven't been to Paris. In his descriptions of life as a young writer, or about the food in Paris, or about the writers, the intimate portrayal of writers that he meets, like people like Gertrude Stein, James Joyce, and Scott Fitzgerald, Hemingway's effortless talent of an older man will take you on a nostalgic trip that you will not regret. I especially liked his descriptions of food and weather as he wines and dines his way through Paris. Actually, I've read it 3 times, and each time there's something else that catches my attention. First time it was the young writer going about the business of being a writer. Second time it was the husband and the father bit. And now, frankly, it's all about the food. I love his descriptions of food. Hemingway was known for his sparse writing style. This style has influenced many writers after him, both in fiction and non-fiction. And even after all these years and so much imitation, when you go back to the original, there is something there that you will cherish. The writing is beautiful, clear, and you can almost feel and smell and see the places that he's talking about. But you can't say the same thing about his dialogue. Hemingway is not really good in his dialogue. You can see that in his fiction, but even here in non-fiction, when he's just remembering things, his dialogue comes across as stodgy and formal. We're probably almost 5 minutes into this video, and I decided to make these videos less than 5 minutes long, so I'll stop here. But let me conclude by just letting you know why you should read this book. If you're somebody who's read other books by Hemingway and not read A Moveable Feast, pick this book up right now. You don't know what you're missing. If you're somebody who's never read Hemingway and want to way into Hemingway, this is the best book to pick up. This is the first book that you could pick up, the best book, and it'll take you into his world, and you can move on to other books like For Whom the Bell Tolls and Old Man and the Sea or Death in the Afternoon after reading this. But more than anybody else, if you are somebody who just likes great writing, you can pick this book up, and it will take you on a trip of nostalgia. It will tell you how beautiful sometimes nostalgia can be. Thank you for watching Tatparya Books. If you like the video, please let me know about it. And if you want to see more such videos, feel free to subscribe for the channel. Until I see you next week, bye-bye.